morning, and welcome to All People's Church Unitarian Universalist. My name is Mary Kerwin, and I am your co-celebrant this morning. I'm happy to be sharing the pulpit for worship with our minister, Lori King Nelson, who is preaching on why belonging matters and the connections and acceptance we gain being part of a church community. We welcome all of you today, especially those who are visiting. If you haven't done so yet, please sign in at the visitors table by the front door, where you can be placed on our mailing list to receive our weekly emails and the monthly newsletter. And after the service is over, all are invited to stay for coffee hour and conversation. Now, before we continue on to worship, there are a few announcements. First, we're doing a food drive in the foyer for the benefit of Eastside Ministries. David Bindi has organized a grocery table of items for you to purchase and donate by adding your dollars to the donation jar and placing the food items in the grocery cart. We know that what we give directly aids people here in our immediate vicinity. Thank you for your contributions. Now, join Rita Faust and Lori King Nelson next Saturday as they host an afternoon of painting on canvas, conversation and refreshments. This will be in Coleman Hall, Saturday, October 4th. The time is 1 to 3 p.m. The cost is $10 to cover all the supplies. Sign up is requested, and there's a sign-up sheet in the foyer today. Our brilliant pianist, Misha Bereshnev, is holding 2 concerts in the coming month, 2 piano concerts here at church. The first is next Saturday, October 4th, in the evening at 7:30, and the second will be October 17th at 8 p.m. here at church. And what day of the week is that? Next Saturday is the 4th. The 4th is Saturday, and I'm not sure about the 17th, so check your calendar. Okay, and last but not least, today, immediately after the service, right here in the sanctuary, we'll be holding an auction for 2 State Fair of Texas season passes. Okay, so that's the State Fair, which just opened, season passes for the run of the fair. And we're doing this in advance of our own service auction here at church to get everybody excited about auctioning and donating items. So we're going to do that here right after the service, and we'll do that before we move on to coffee hour. So please bid vigorously when the time comes.
So Mary, that day is Friday night.
Okay, thank you. Today we have a special speaker. Lauren Watson is here from the Wellman Project, and she's going to present a light on a community service opportunity that's available to all of us. So Lauren, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Rita Faust invited me here to share a little bit about the Wellman Project, which is a local nonprofit organization on a mission to fill a classroom, not a landfill. So my name is Lauren. I am Director of Development and Marketing. So it's my job to make sure that everybody I come across has heard about the Wellman Project. Quick show of hands. Is anyone familiar with the organization, the Wellman Project? I love it. I love being amongst friends. Okay, cool. So to kind of backtrack, the Wellman Project, like I mentioned, is a Fort Worth-based nonprofit on a mission to fill a classroom, not a landfill. The Wellman Project has identified two major issues in our community. One of those being that our landfills are filling up way ahead of schedule, and our public school educators do not have the resources they need to teach the lessons in the classroom. So what the Wellman Project does is we are out to promote the concept of creative reuse, reusing materials in creative ways so that they can be incorporated in the classroom and turned into free school supplies for our educators. So the Wellman Project has three main programs that we use to fill a classroom, not a landfill. The main one, our main and our oldest program, is our free educator warehouse. Is anyone in this room a public school educator or a charter school teacher? None. Does anyone know what someone who teaches public school or charter school? Amazing. Okay, cool. So anyone who's employed by a public school district, an accredited charter school, or a qualifying nonprofit can visit the Wellman Project's Educator Warehouse and shop for free for their programs. On average, educators are saving over $500 per shopping trip to the Educator Warehouse. And just imagine Big Lots, but everything is free. We have office supplies, we have art supplies, we have party supplies, we have construction and building supplies, consumables, and we partner with members of the community like you guys and local businesses to take what you guys don't need and turn it into school supplies for our teachers. I brought a couple examples with me today just to kind of put an image to the mission. Everyone's switching to streaming services and getting rid of their DVDs, so when an educator comes in looking for a whiteboard, we may not necessarily have a whiteboard in our warehouse because we're reliant on donations. But this right here is a DVD case where we've just switched the movie poster inside out, and now we have a double-sided whiteboard. So no matter what our educators are looking for, we make sure that they don't leave empty-handed. It's the Wellman Project's mission to come up with creative alternatives to transform materials that are destined for the landfill into free school supplies for our teachers. Another thing that we try to put together for our educators are these tinker jars. This tinker jar is an old vitamin jar that's just been rinsed out, and it's full of corks and bottle caps and abandoned puzzle pieces, different pieces of your bread ties. And so teachers can use these for STEM materials. They can use them for art materials. And regardless, we're keeping them out of the landfill. So that educator warehouse is just one way that we're supporting our educators in filling a classroom, not a landfill. Another way that you can support the Wellman Project and come and see what we're up to is visiting our curiosity shop. So we actually have a craft store that's open to everyone in the community. Everything in the curiosity shop has been, super discounted. We have fabric, we have yarn, we have art supplies. We're also supporting local artists in that curiosity shop. It's kind of like a thrift store. So come and shop with us. Every dollar spent in our curiosity shop turns into 10 free dollars of materials that we can provide to educators. Our third program is our makerspace. So in our makerspace, not only are we supporting educators with free access to sewing machines and saws and 3D printers, but we're also hosting community-based skills programs and arts programs. So if anyone's looking to learn how to use a sewing machine, come to the Wellman Project. Sign up for our 4-week adult class series, Sewing Basics. We have woodworking basics. We have printmaking that just started this week. We have screen printing that starts in a couple weeks. So we want to incorporate the community, and we want to keep arts accessible, and we want to keep our minds curious, while also learning about how to be more environmentally conscious and supporting one another in the community. Come and see us Tuesday through Saturday. We are open on Saturdays. We're closed on Sundays. But if you have craft materials, if you need to clean out your sewing bits and bobs, if you have a garage full of your kids' trophies and they don't want them anymore, schedule a donation appointment to the Wellman Project. You would be surprised what we can turn into classroom materials. Let's see, what else? Come and volunteer with us. We receive 15 to 20 different donations every single day according to our schedule, and we need help going through and filing and organizing those donations of materials. If you're really type A and you love sorting things by color and size and like with like, come hang out with us. On Wednesdays, we have a group of individuals who come and process all of our fabric donations. We get countless pounds of fabric donations every month, and we need help sorting them by size and color and texture. So we constantly need help. Without our community support, the Wellman Project is kind of just a bunch of hoarders. So come and help us keep organized. Help us continue to fill our teachers' hands with materials and fill their minds with ideas, because they're stressed beyond stressed. So help us provide that creativity and that holistic support to our community of educators. Do I have any questions? Can I answer any questions for anybody? Yeah. Our address, thank you, great question. So the Wellman Project is located at 3950 West Vickery Boulevard. Who's been to the Swiss pastry shop? Yeah. We're the neighbors. We have the school bus right next door to the Swiss pastry shop. And that front door leads you to the curiosity shop. So anytime that we're open the door and say, hey, Lauren sent me here. I don't really know what you guys are all about. Tell me what the Wellman Project is doing. Don't tell them that, though. Tell them I was very detailed and thorough in my description, and I was very helpful and informative. Any other questions? Who's going to volunteer at the Wellman Project? I put some postcards and some business cards out by the information table. There's some QR codes as well. Visit our website, thewellmanproject.org. You can sign up for volunteer shifts online. You can sign up for a material donation appointment online. You can also sign up for any of our single-day workshops or adult class series or spring break camp, summer camp for students. We have all sorts of fun. We have all ages workshops. We have a teapot workshop that we're going to be doing in November. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come and see me. Don't let this be the only time that we hang out, okay? Amazing, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And now, please settle comfortably for our musical prelude.
Wow, thank you. Woo. So amazing. And I also want to thank you, Lauren, for coming today. Rita, Faust and I and my son Dimitri came out a few months ago and did the full tour, and it's mind-blowing what you're accomplishing there. I totally encourage you to go into their little shop, because you will not walk out empty-handed, I guarantee you. I didn't. And there's just so much good happening there. Thank you for doing that. Let us prepare ourselves for worship. Our call to worship this morning is A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You've been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose. Of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship.
We now invite you to rise in body of the Spirit for our chalice lighting, opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words were written by Reverend Michelle Collins. Come in from the margins, come into our circle. Here we stretch wide a doorway of belonging. No need to polish your edges or hush your truth. We gather not in sameness, but in shared seeking. Take a breath, set down what you carry. You are welcome, holy and wildly in this place. Please join me now in singing our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Be. Please join in our affirmation. The words are in your order of service, and they're also projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. The young and the young at heart are now invited to come forward for our time for all ages right up here at the front of the chancel.
Hi, good morning. You brought a camera? Ooh. Well, I'll make sure I smile a whole lot so that you can take really nice pictures, okay? Cats and dogs. That's what's on my phone, are just pictures of my cats and dogs. 4 cats and 2 dogs. Wow, 5 or 6. Sometimes it's an unknown number. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Hey. Okay. You can show them to me after church. You want to do that? Okay. Because today we're kind of talking about how we change because of the places that we are most often in. So sometimes our church changes us. Sometimes our school changes us. We're still different from everybody else, right? When we go to school, we're still different from anybody else, even though we're all learning the same thing. And I just think about how everybody changes kind of in a different way from what they learn, where they go. I was recently in Alaska, and it was so amazing. And one of the glaciers that I visited, I actually got to walk up to the base of it. And I was struck by how different all the rocks were that were at the base of the glacier. These are rocks that had been carried. This is a piece of wood. It's not a rock, but it came with the glacier as well. These rocks are pushed for thousands and thousands of miles, over thousands and thousands of years. And can you imagine that? What you would be like if something like that was pushing you constantly, and you're scraping up against things, and you're turning, and then water is going over you, and how different you look at the end of that journey from the beginning of that journey. I just imagine that some of these were really smooth before they started that journey. What? Can you hear? Yes, you can make them smooth. That's right. And so some of these rocks, honestly, probably started off very rough and could feel very rough and kind of sharp on the edges. But through their journey, they became smooth. I think that happens with us too. Sometimes our journey is so harsh that it makes us rougher. And sometimes our journey is smoother, and it makes us smoother. Do y'all want to feel them? Yes. Of course you do. Do y'all want to feel them? Will you pass one to... Oh, there you go. Do you want to pass one to your brother?
It's heavy.
It is heavy, right? Do you see the lines on it? But there's also something else that's important to look at on these. There are layers in them, right? Have y'all seen Shrek?
Yes.
Remember when Donkey's talking about the layers? Yeah. And how the onions have layers. Right. Well, rocks have layers too. Huh? Yes, onions have layers. Well, we do have layers just like the rocks.
It's cold and heavy.
It is cold and heavy, you're right. Yeah, and each one feels differently, right? But the layers really represent us. It represents how we're formed and how we become smooth.
The white is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're going to take a picture of them? Okay, that works. All right, here, let's put the other two down there so you have the whole set. Now, I have a whole lot more rocks than this that I picked up on the trip. So over the next few months, I'll be bringing some, and you'll be able to see them. Okay? Well, what I hope for you...
The last one.
He's got one. What I hope for you is that your journey is a smooth one one that gives you layers that are layers of belonging, so that you always know that no matter what kind of rock you look like at the end, you belong here, and we love you. Okay? All right. I think we're done for this morning. All right, we can set them right here if you want.
I already got the picture, so I can
You have a rock collection? Oh, goodness.
2 buckets of rocks that my mom gave me.
Oh, okay. All right, let's sing them out.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return. We take an offering each week as an opportunity to recommit and reconnect amongst ourselves. It is as much a ritual as singing together, lighting our chalice, or reciting our unison affirmation. It is a reminder of that form of love that we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. It is our custom to share a portion of the cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or a charitable group. Our current Share the Plate recipient is the East Side Ministries. Our church helped to establish this agency, which is located on East Lancaster Avenue, back in the 1980s. We have been supporting their mission ever since. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code on the back of the order of service. And our offering will now be accepted. Will the ushers please come forward?
Thank you, Misha. Our reading this morning is "O Me, O Life" by Walt Whitman. O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities I've filled with the foolish, of myself forever reproaching myself. For who more foolish than I, and who more faithless? of eyes that vainly crave the light, of the object's mean, of the struggle ever renewed, of the poor results of all, of the plotting and sordid crowds I see around me, of the empty and useless years of the rest, with the rest of me intertwined. The question, oh me, so sad, recurring, what good amid these, oh me, oh life? The answer? That you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and that you may contribute a verse. Will you rise and embody your spirit and join us for our hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life. At this time in our service, we pause to honor and give time and attention to those things important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts and in the world, and honor our time together with shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week there's a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. Today, from our book of memory and hope, we include the following. Joe Burnham says, please keep my brother-in-law, Joe Demeter, in your thoughts and prayers. Unfortunately, his cancer is back. For those who may have known Greg Ellis from the, help me out. Okay. He died recently. Memorial at California UU next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Also, John Blair is hospitalized as well. Also, I have been to visit Colleen Brewer twice now, and she is doing well. She's a little frazzled. She sends her love, and she would just welcome the phone calls and the texts. So let's keep her in a center of our belonging as well. Our meditation this morning comes from Brian McLaren from the podcast Learning How to See. We find ourselves caught up in the tension of knowing we are called to love and also filled with anger over things happening in our world, our communities, our families, our hearts. We find anger arising in us when we're supposed to be loving people. We find anger arising in us because we are loving people. And so let's sit comfortably, relax our bodies, our minds, place our hands on our legs, right hand on the right thigh, left hand on the left thigh. Turn your hands palm up, cupped, as though you're holding a handful of water. Lift your left hand. I want you to look at that hand and say to yourself, I have permission to be angry. And let your left hand represent the anger you feel at this moment. And maybe just for a few moments, let those feelings rise to the surface. Maybe contemplate the main angers you feel. Who are you angry with? What are you angry with? Why? And I invite you in these next few moments to look at that left hand and keep returning to the idea that you have a voice. And with your voice, you are allowed to say, I'm angry. That hurts. That's wrong. That's an abuse of power. That's harmful. I invite you now to just allow those realities to find words that you can be honest with in your own heart. So now, having expressed, I feel anger, it's real, it's there, and I don't want to hide it. I want to face it and name it, and not necessarily be ashamed for it or apologize, but just to acknowledge it's there. Just as your left hand is a part of your body, now I want you to look at your right hand and think of the love that exists in your heart. You might even think of the love that exists that is what causes you to be angry. My friend is being hurt by someone. My neighbor is being hurt by some political policy. My family is being threatened by something. The earth itself, through greed and folly, is being harmed. What I invite you to do now is realize the love that underlies your anger. The love that makes you care about that person or thing or virtue or value that's being harmed or dishonored. And as you look at your right hand, I want you to keep returning to that thought that there really is love in my heart at this moment. It really is there. And see what bubbles up for you. And now I wonder if you could take your hands together and cup them together, as if you were wanting to get a drink of water in your cupped hands. And remember that your anger is always touched by love. And your love is always related to anger. And in some way, in these next few moments, to just allow yourself the realization that anger and love do not have to be enemies. Yes, they can be, but there's a way they can be integrated, and you can hold both together in your one human heart. Let us now pause for a few moments of quiet meditation to hold and uplift the sorrows and celebrations, both spoken and unspoken, among us. And then Misha will lift our hearts with music. Thank you. So, what I had in the newsletter was the need for belonging is universal. Belonging enables us to feel confident showing up as our authentic selves, while empowering us to access our full range of skills, abilities, and potential. We feel a sense of belonging when we feel connected to others, and when we feel that our presence and contributions are valued. And it can come from anywhere, from friends and family, co-workers, members of a community, and even through social media. But how is belonging defined by experts? According to Cornell University, the definition of belonging is the feeling of security and support when there's a sense of acceptance, inclusion, and identity for a member of a certain group. I remember my mother reading Island of the Blue Dolphins to me at bedtime. I see some smiles out there from people who have also read that. I was in the 4th grade. After each chapter, I would beg for her to read just one more, please. My imagination ran wild with the thought of being left on an island with no one to boss me around. I was the youngest of 4. I got bossed. To be fair, Karana was left behind with her younger brother, Ramo, and had the great responsibility of keeping him safe. It wasn't until I was older that I thought more deeply about how the loss of community and ultimately the loss of Ramo would create crushing grief and unbearable loneliness for Karana. She moved through each day angry and alone, adrift. She had once belonged to a family, a village. Her community was her past, her present, and her future, forming and informing her sense of self. Everything she knew had been passed down, generation to generation. Names recited at gatherings, tying children to the past. Karana had learned from her ancestors how to hunt, cook, build, swim. The thing she didn't learn was how to create a sense of belonging when your community changed or disappeared. Brené Brown said, "We have to belong to ourselves as much as we need to belong to others. Love and belonging are irreducible needs for all people. In the absence of these experiences, there's always suffering." We know that Karana found a sense of belonging by remaining true to all she had learned from those who raised her, and then found a different kind of community and belonging when she befriended the dog Rantu. I think she had already begun to clarify her sense of self when that happened, allowing her to seek out a wider community, opening her heart to a different way of belonging. Brené Brown goes on to say, "True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness." True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And the way we believe in and belong to ourselves first comes down to how we understand our own worth, our own worthiness. We're told by the world we live in what we're worth, how people react to the way we look or the way we behave or the size of our bank account, who we know, the family we're born into, the jobs we have, the titles we carry, our educational qualification. This is how the world measures how much we're worth and imprints on us that we too can judge the worth of others based on these same yardsticks. We may not think about this consciously, but how many of us actually realize that we treat people differently based on what we think they are worth to us or others? For many of us, we came to this church after being told in some way that we were not worthy or welcome. Maybe it was our education or sexual orientation. It could have been our gender identity or political leanings or different religious beliefs. Maybe we were cast out, made to feel less than, unworthy, because of something we had done or not done. That isn't community. That doesn't create a place of belonging. I remember a rabbi telling me once, when recounting one of the creation stories in Genesis, that out of chaos comes order, beauty, goodness, wholeness, shalom, the way God intended things to be. And for those raised in a more conserving church, one that taught that we inherit the sins of Adam, that is definitely not the way community, belonging, or the translation works or was intended to be. One of my friends said belonging should deal with three things: how we understand God, how God sees us, how we understand the relationship between God and ourselves. If God does not look like love, if God does not see us as worthy, if God rejects us based on our physical self, then that is not God. When we can answer those questions in a loving and inclusive way, then we've found God in our community and the divine in one another. We will have found a place of belonging. We don't earn the right to place a value on others based on our level of commitment to some preordained rules. Everyone is worthy. I've had to start over many times in my life. Most of us have had to do that at least once, and if we're lucky, it's only once. I went back to school. I think they called me a non-traditional student. That just means you're old. I was at a very low point in my life. I had allowed others to decide my worth. Then I began to seek out a new community, one that allowed me to be, well, just me. Those of you who have been there, you know that feeling. I felt safe exploring who I was and what I wanted from life. I felt the love that only comes from a place of belonging. It was absolutely life-giving. Not a single one of us has had a linear journey. We've all been like the enslaved, finally released from bondage in Egypt, sights set on a new land, new life, only to detour time and again when we encounter a barrier. Or the wayward son, whose circular journey finally brought him back to the open arms of his father. Or the sheep that slips away while the other 99 are sleeping. It's not about sheeps or coins or getting lost or whatever parable we may have heard. It's about people losing their identity, their place of belonging, and how we are called to open our arms and draw them in and be a place of refuge, a safe place to heal. It's about believing in them until they can believe in themselves, helping them belong to a community until they learn to belong to themselves. When it comes to people, we are called to operate differently from how the world sees worth. What a person does will never reduce the amount of divine inside them or their worthiness to be among us. And if you ever lose sight of that identity, we will leave everything behind and do everything in our power to pursue you and restore your identity and belonging. Our community and your belonging is everything. And I don't mean that in a threatening, stalky kind of way. We're talking about a posture of love and belonging here. So, this is what Brené Brown means when she says, true belonging requires you to be who you are. And who you are is a beautiful, beloved, worthy, divine being. The way the world determines worth doesn't work here. We're not going to compare who's better because of where they sit or how often they come to church, or if they make good or wise decisions. That math doesn't work here. I often say, give yourself some grace, because that's the heart of love we are called to believe in and belong to. On my recent plane ride to San Francisco, Dimitri and I were seated in the last row, you know, the ones by the toilets. Having the aisle seat gave me the opportunity to smile at everyone using those facilities. But it also placed me squarely in a group of about 6 Middle Eastern men. The young man across the aisle from me had, for whatever reason, not been seated with his companions. And he kept looking over at me as if he wanted to start a conversation. As the restroom traffic slowed, I commented on how bumpy the flight was, opening up a lovely conversation about where he was from, where he was going, what his family was like. Eventually, the plane landed and we all began to prepare ourselves for deboarding. I leaned over and told him how much I had enjoyed our conversation. He said the same, but then added, you still have the price tag on your jacket? May I pull it off? Turns out he had been looking over at my tag, not trying to start a conversation. But we took that moment and created a connection and a sense of belonging. We met the moment, which is something we're going to be talking about over the next few months. And we never know when that moment will happen, and we need to be prepared to throw our arms open wide. For those of you who read that beloved story of Karana, you know that she finds her community in a pack of dogs, growing in confidence of who she is because she was given the love and support from them that we all require. She eventually leaves the island, beginning a new chapter of her life. We are that island for so many. We were that island for me, and probably for you too. Let's make sure we're that island for everyone who walks through those doors. May it always be so. Will you rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 323, Break Not the Circle.
Our closing chalice words are from Reverend Michelle Collins. As we leave this sacred hour, may the welcome we received become the welcome we extend. Let us meet the world with open hearts, open hands, and the audacity to build spaces where every soul feels at home.
And so you begin seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Service has now ended. We ask that you stay for the raffle, the auction, and there will be coffee and conversation in the library at the rear of the sanctuary. Thank you.